Yeah, good morning, Umunna and Umunna. Yeah, this morning I have a different topic, a topic also that is in line with what I have been calling for, at least for the moment in Nigeria, because nobody would like to see war. We know that we are going through a difficult time this very time, but at the same time, we are looking for Biafra. We should be careful we don't endanger ourselves, destroy our properties, and cause harm, everlasting harm, to the generations we want to save. I seriously believe in Biafra to come, like each and every one of you will testify to, if you are honest. And I believe in a Biafra that will be peaceful, a Biafra that will be engaging, and a Biafra that will be competitive, healthily against other nations of the world. The piece I am going to read through my automated machine is a piece delivered by Abraham Babangida, former president, military president of Nigeria. At the time this guy was in position, Nigeria was rated the most corrupt nation in the world. It's a time when 419 became the talk of the day. But there is something very important and remarkable to take out in this very time when this man was in leadership at the head. It was the international community and our fear of engagement that we tolerated that made us throw Babangida away, because he adopted whatever you can do to the white man, but don't do it to your fellow countryman. His policy was best to saying, if you come to do business with Nigeria from the back door, you receive a back door treatment. So if you are willing to do business genuinely with Nigerian government, you should come through the front door, which was what the international community did not like. They labeled Nigeria the most corrupt nation in the world as at the time of Abraham Babangida. And because of our fear and our imitation to what we feel is the best practice as follow people, that is why today Mugabe and other people like Gaddafi them are seen to be different kinds of actors in the world stage, because they will continuously continue doing what they are doing, not minding what the international community will say. But we gave in and denounced our president and took to this very route now. And here we are today. I would like to play this piece. It's a piece, the most wonderful piece I've seen that is talking about, at least for now, something that will bring peace. Although his own ambition, Babangida's own ambition, is for a one Nigeria, but let there be restructuring as to bring peace for the time being. I think also this will go in line with my time frame of 14 years. That's why also is for me acceptable if we can cue to this very idea, support with the meaningful declarations made by Babangida here. I think, and I can also say, if we get to the bottom of the speech, he made the speech not necessarily to the Hausas, but that proves that he had a lot to do with talking to his own people. Anyway, let me play first of all the speech, then you understand what I'm talking about.
Babangida shocks the world, speaks out on Nigeria's breakup, gives 72 hours marching order to Sikbuhari. Former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, on Monday, has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to quickly hearken to the voice of restructuring, before Nigeria goes up in flames. Speaking during the prayer to mark his 75th birthday celebration, at the hilltop, Minna, Niger State, the former military ruler urged leaders across the aggrieved parts of the country to show maturity, while insisting that war is not a joke anyone should toy with. His speech in full: Nigeria, my dear country, is not a stranger to crisis, nor is she immune to it. In a profound sense, she can be said to have been created out of crisis, a nation-state that will continue to strive to subdue and transcend crises. In over a century of its formalized colonial architecture, Nigeria has grown and made remarkable progress in the midst of crises. The most tragic and horrendous episode in Nigeria's history has been the 30-month civil war of July 1967 to January 1970, in which many of our compatriots lost their lives. Indeed, many others also suffered terrible injuries of human and material dimensions. So, who really wants to go through the depth and dimensions of another civil war in Nigeria again? Who does not know that that civil war was preceded and started by intolerance and a series of hate pronouncements, hate speeches, hate conducts and actions that were inflicted upon one another by the citizens? Today, with a deep sense of nostalgia, I still carry within my body the pains of injury from the civil war. There is nothing romantic about war, in any form. War is bad, condemnable, and must be avoided. I need hardly say I am very worried by the current ongoing altercations and vituperations of hate across the country by individuals, well-known leaders, religious leaders, group of persons and organizations. We need to remind ourselves that conflicts are not evidently the stuff of politics and governance, particularly so of democracy. Hence we must apply caution in our utterances, body language, and news reportage. The management of conflicts is the acid test of maturity, of mutual livelihood and of democratic governance. We cannot and we must not allow the current hate atmosphere to continue to freely pollute our political landscape unchecked. Personally, I reject the proceedings of hate and their dissemination and urge my fellow citizens to strongly condemn the scourge and orgy of the current crisis which, in my view, is an outcome of vengeful appetites within the multiple contexts of our democratic governance and the profound inequalities that have distorted our social relations. Nonetheless, it is not the place of leaderships to fuel and hype conflicts, nor should we allow losers and gainers of our governance regimes to make pronouncements and threats that exploit our ethnic, religious, and geopolitical construct. Democracy, anywhere in the world, is a work in progress, and one that is subject to constant evolution and debate. The drums of war are easy to beat, but their rhythms are difficult to dance. Starting wars or political upheavals comes with the slightest provocation, but ending them becomes inelastic, almost unending with painful footages of the wrecks of war. I have been involved and its ripples are tellingly unpalatable, with gory details of destruction and carnage. I am a Nigerian, a citizen, patriot and concerned stakeholder. It is my strong belief that Nigeria can attain greater greatness if we all nurture our minds in the direction of building a nation, and accepting responsibility for its successes and failures. We cannot deny or repudiate our progress at nation building in spite of the limitations and challenges that we have continued to experience. As a people, we need a proper study and understanding of our history in order to correct the warped perceptions of our past so as to minimize the dangers of badly skewed stories of our democratic experience in governance, and to regenerate mutual confidence and uphold the tenets of living together as one country. No one government or administration can provide all the answers to the myriad of problems and challenges confronting us as a country, no matter how determined, resolute, committed and motivated such a government is. The citizens have their roles to play, and their obligations to fulfill in order to motivate government in achieving its stated goals and objectives. Governance is a function of the leadership and the followership. It is a two-way traffic that demands certain responsibilities from those involved. Of late, Nigeria has become so sharply divided with emotions running high on the least provocations. Once tempers are that high, the fault lines become easily visible, and with the slightest prompting, the unexpected can happen. But I want to believe that Nigerians are still their reasonable selves, highly endowed in various skills and intellectually empowered to compete anywhere in the global arena. As a Nigerian, I have had the rare privilege to benefit from robust relationships from different people across the socio-political divide, East, West, North, and South. I have also immensely interacted with persons from all the numerous tribes, cultures, and ethnic configurations dotted across the entire gamut of Nigeria's expansive lands. I have made friends, built alliances, nurtured relationships, and sustained linkages amongst Nigerians of all shades and opinions. In fairness, Nigerians are great people. In those hours, moments, and duration of friendship and camaraderie, no one talks about origin, geopolitical zones, or even states. The issue of religion does not dictate the flow of discourse. We deal with ourselves based on our character and content, and not the sentiments of what part of the country we hail from. The inalienable fact that Nigerians can live in any part of the country to pursue their legitimate aspirations is a strong indication that we have accepted to invest in the Nigerian project, and are no longer driven by mutual suspicion but mutual respect. That we have not fully realized our potentials as a great nation is not enough reason for us to want to demolish the foundation of our nationhood or rubbish the labors of our heroes past, both of which are born out of our collective efforts to build a truly great nation, and great people. If we have repeatedly done certain things and not getting the desired results, we need to change tactics and approach, and renew our commitment. It is our collective responsibilities to engender a reform that would be realistic and in sync with modern best practices. For example, restructuring has become an as we speak, whose time has come. I will strongly advocate for devolution of powers to the extent that more responsibilities be given to the states while the federal government is vested with the responsibility to oversee our foreign policy, defense, and economy. Even the idea of having federal roads in towns and cities has become outdated and urgently needs revisiting. That means we need to tinker with our constitution to accommodate new thoughts that will strengthen our nationality. Restructuring and devolution of powers will certainly not provide all the answers to our developmental challenges. It will help to reposition our mindset as we generate new ideas and initiatives that would make our union worthwhile. The talk to have the country restructured means that Nigerians are agreed on our unity in diversity, but that we should strengthen our structures to make the union more functional based on our comparative advantages. Added to this desire is the need to commence the process of having state police across the states of the Federation. This idea was contained in my manifesto in 2010 when I attempted to contest the presidential elections. The initial fears that state governors will misuse the officers and men of the state police have become increasingly eliminated with renewed vigor in citizens' participation in, and confidence to interrogate power. We cannot be detained by those fears and allow civilization to leave us behind. We must as a people with one destiny and common agenda take decisions for the sake of posterity in our shared commitment to launch our country on the path of development and growth. Policing has become so sophisticated that we cannot continue to operate our old methods and expect different results. I also want to appeal to the Nigeria media to be more circumspect in their news reportage. They should always weigh the security implications of the contents of their news and the screaming headlines that stare us in the face every day, especially at this fragile period of our political emanations. The media play an important and remarkable role in shaping the flow of discourse. Their level of influence is also not in doubt, but as the fourth estate of the realm, it has a greater responsibility to moderate public discourse in a manner that will cement inter- and intracultural relationships. If Nigeria works, it benefits all her citizens. If it fails, it hurts all her citizens too. The media should be patriotic in its present engagements to birth a new Nigeria of our dreams. On a final note, I really wish we see strength, determination, commitment, and confidence in our diversities rather than adversities. As a heterogeneous country with flourishing skills and numerous endowments, we should dictate the pace in Africa and lead by example of what is possible among that are focused and determined to pursue common national goal. As a former military president who had the rare privilege to travel around Africa to sustain the African cooperation through peacekeeping operations, I have come to the conclusion that nations are driven by a common ideal and not by the homogeneity of their race. I saw Somalia, such a homogeneous conclave yet one of the most troubled countries in Africa today. I saw South Sudan, which broke away from the old Sudan, but peace and stability eluded them. Rwanda genocidal experience is not romantic either. But a president from the minority ethnic group has repositioned the country to assume its pride of place in the comedy of nations. That a people share common identity, language, history, doctrine, culture, mores, and values is not synonymous with development, growth, stability and peace. When we went into peacekeeping operations in Sierra Leone, Somalia, Liberia, and Congo, we had in mind to sustain oneness in Africa even though we are a continent of different countries all bearing different logos and identities. Our motivation was simply that we are Africans. I am therefore appealing to the sensibilities of all of us, young and old, leaders and followers, groups and organizations, that in the interest of peace and stability of our country, we need to sheathe the sword. At 76, I have seen it all. I have seen war. I have fought war. And I have survived war, even though I still suffer the pains and injuries of war. It is part of the selfless sacrifice to keep the Union afloat. We must build a country that is forward-looking for our children and future generations of Nigerians. We cannot afford to toil with the destinies of the 170 million Nigerians by the shape of our discourse and the content of our interaction. We must carry out conscious attitudinal orientation that will change the mindset of our youths and the held beliefs of the elderly. We must explore the therapies of dialogue and constructive engagements in our desire to make life more meaningful for our people. My friends cut across all regions, zones and states. I am proud to be a Nigerian, because I see hope in the youthful population of Nigerians. I see remarkable skills and raw talents that can stimulate enterprise and innovations. This is the end of the holy month of Ramadan, a month in which Muslim faithful have dedicated their lives to seek closeness to God, and forgiveness of their iniquities. It is a month of penance, a month of prayer for physical, moral, and spiritual rejuvenation, regeneration and rebirth. I urge my countrymen and women to use the occasion to look ahead with hope and renewed dedication to the service of our country.
Yeah. It is good that we hear some of us who are coming into the very video recording came in not knowing who is actually the author of this very write-up. Somebody's asking me who owns the voice. Now, the voice is an automated machine I used to read a write-up or a statement by one Nigerian ex-president. You see, this is the problem of humanity. When you are curious, you want to know. If you have a relaxed mind and go through the content of this very write-up, you will find very reasonable, very, very workable, and the best position if you are talking about something to, irrespective of the fact that this guy has the ambition of having a one Nigeria, but you will see that that is the best option that can hold Nigeria together, even if you are looking for Biafra. But now, if one will tell you whose statement is this, the tribal divide will come in. And of course, at this very juncture, if it's a Nigerian president, military president, you will all know that it's an Hausa man. So in this case, opinion starts to change. Some people start to, everything you just heard now becomes meaningless because you know where it's coming from. That is human problem, not a Nigerian problem, not the Igbo problem, but this is human problem. And it's okay. And that is where now you have the division between the wise men and the followers, or the good men. There are good men, there are wise men, there are foolish men, and there are just follow people. Also, you have all categories of it, and everybody is going to deal with anything they hear, how they can interpret information based on some people emotions. But it will be wise if sometimes we remove the messenger and think about the message. We are dealing with a nation, our nation. So to say, at this point, Nigeria is our nation together. You can't reject reality that you are living in at a particular time. At this time, we are Nigerians, and we are trying to make a possible shift away from Nigeria to have our own nation. And we should understand that it's not as easy as just ABC or what the kind of cries we are hearing up and down now. That might not be the emergence of Biafra. There's a little to it. There is more to it. Now, a lot of opinions, a lot of people giving their own opinions. Some are dangerous, some are useless, some are calm, some are very, very useful. I would say this very one coming from Ibrahim Babangida, former military president of Nigeria, is one of the best I've ever seen. This is one of the best I've ever seen that will go a long way, at least to hold peaceful the nation, irrespective of who is saying it. And I can testify by the closing section of that very speech. It is a heartfelt speech he gave, reminding his own people, because when he made that attribution to the Ramadan, I will tell you, he wasn't doing it for we. It wasn't that statement now refers to a heartfelt statement to his people, who are the people who are observing the Ramadan. So if we want a peaceful, irrespective of we are looking for Biafra. I am 100% looking for Biafra. But my idea of Biafra is a peaceful Biafra. My understanding of Biafra is one that will come with a well-devoted, and it's going to be a time for God. I know that Biafra cannot come in 1 year now, 2 years now. I would be really stupid to be, because of maybe my anxiety for or eagerness for Biafra, I would be stupid to believe the unworkable, the one even that is going to be a problematic Biafra. A Biafra of 1 year, 2 years today is going to be worse than Somalia. So I'm not going to be an advocate to that. I believe that all what is going on now, if everybody in the nation should listen to what this guy is saying, the Hausa, the Yoruba, the Igbos alike, we talk about and press the government on the restructuring is a binding force right now. Let's get the possibility of taking care of our own resources. We will build strength from that. Then there is going to be calm in the nation. And there is going to be time for us to work out our own personal differences. See how we can be able to manipulate or work out with our own resources if it's being given to us to use and develop our area. This will give us the opportunity to try our hands in understanding our love together, first of all, as the Easterners who want to go. If the whole nation will press the government to go back again, if there should be a rally based on that, call for a rally based on restructuring. The government of Nigeria, the people of Nigeria is not in, they don't accept whatever they have passed right now saying there's no restructuring. You can rally around and you can protest based on that. They should go back to work and bring up statements like this. People like Babangida who made this statement will support such protests, and a lot of Nigerians who believe in restructuring will support the protest. Let it be the campaign for the whole nation. If I'm talking about a peaceful resolution to what is going on in the nation, while we still keep our eyes on the ball of Biafra. What we are saying is avoidance of war. It's easier said than done. We know it. It's easier started than finished. We all know it. None of us who have not been in common, normal, ordinary fight is caused by provocation. But when the blows start to land, you see the heart start to beat. It becomes a different dance. Sometimes we have become winners and sometimes we have become losers. You know how you felt in those positions. How much more when we're talking about flying of bullets. Think about our children. If you believe you are strong, my brother, you are strong. Think about that little girl who is not strong. Think about all those little children who will be helpless. It's not about you. You are ready to die. But you are involving somebody who have no decisions to make. Let's get this thing done and get it done rightly. This is more than that. I am in a safe land. I have no reason to talk about this. But I am doing this for the generations, not about me, not even about my children, but about the people to come, because that is the reason why I'm in this struggle in the first place. Because when I came to Europe, have my children here, I understood that what they are living through, what they are benefiting from, is what was built by great-grandfathers of these very great nations. Then I come to think back about why am I here in the first place. I realized that it's because my great-grandfathers never did anything for me.